What's up, Venkers?
Hello, Venkers.
G'day, Vankers.
Yes.
Woo! We made it.
Yes.
We made it.
You read that right. You are seeing this right. Listen, we've had some big guests on the Red Flags podcast. We recently talked to Daniel Ricciardo. We've talked to Max Verstappen, Mario Andretti,
Will
Liam
Buxton.
Lawson, Will Buxton. The list goes on.
Brian, I was like, and after each one, Max, Daniel, Liam, I'm like, how do we can't top it. And then we go ahead and we fucking top it.
we find a way today.
Yeah.
We have on the podcast legend of the Formula One space, mother to the one, the only, the Ice King himself, Oscar Piastri. We have
and Daddy of the Pod as well. And Daddy of the Pod.
And Daddy of the Red Flags podcast, Nicole Piastri, on the pod today. How are you doing, Nicole?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Well, thank you for taking your time out of your early morning in Australia.
Early morning. Well, I think I'm conditioned to just be up at all hours of the day and night watching sport. So,
right.
So, yeah.
Were you always into sport? Are you a competitive person? Did Oscar grow up in a competitive household?
Yeah, he did. I think my mum taught Oscar to play Monopoly when he was about 4, way too young to be playing Monopoly. And so then it was there was chess, Monopoly, so it was those sorts of things. And then we got into, little athletics and cricket and footy. And yes, we're all super competitive. His dad and I in particular. And so, yeah, it stemmed from there.
How did Oscar fare in Monopoly at the age of 5 or 6?
He was pretty good. He was super good at chess.
Oh, really?
Yeah, to the point where I boycotted it. I wasn't playing it.
You had to stop playing him?
Yes, I did.
Is it really, how embarrassing is it losing to your 5-year-old child in chess? Is it bad?
Well, I didn't tell anyone. And this is an exclusive. I'm telling you now.
If you're trying to give him motherly advice, he's like, "I beat you in chess. How you're not smarter than I am."
Yeah, I don't even know if he remembers. I'm not sure he remembers.
Right.
And so when
it's been a long life of dominance. Well, it's interesting. I think that's an interesting thing, because I think so much of this game that Oscar's in, that your son is in, it's a mental game. As much as it's the physical, it's like this is driving is between the ears.
Yeah.
And so it seems like, and he's shown throughout his career that he is kind of unflappable. And now we see that it maybe extends to Monopoly at the age of 5 and chess at around that same time as well. Is that your takeaway from him as well?
Oh yeah, he's definitely. You call it unflappable. I would say he's very conservative.
I mean, what's interesting, and I think what people find fascinating about your guys is the dynamic, because you've made a name for yourself in the F1 internet sphere. You're a legend.
You know how that started though. That started years ago when Oscar was not responding to he was at boarding school in the UK, and he was not responding to my messages. So I opened a Twitter account and then got on there and said, can you not answer me? I know you're on your phone. That's how it started. It was my plan was not to kind of to dominate the Twitter world by roasting my son. It just started because he was difficult to get in contact with.
Right.
And it worked. He would reply.
You need to be publicly reminded to call your mom sometimes. If your mom can do that, then it's an effective tactic.
I gotta say, so if he just texted you back more, this never would have happened.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. That's crazy.
Oscar's to blame here.
It's us. This is Oscar's fault.
100%.
I gotta say
100%.
that when I first saw like that you were like flaming your son on Twitter, I was like personally triggered because my mother, she has a blog. Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
She has a
yeah,
blog.
I heard about this. Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Mom. And, you know, she's putting these crazy stories up and she's posting it to my college website. And people are like, your mom's saying this crazy. So I was triggered. But it seems like Oscar's unflapped by that as well. Chill.
Yeah,
about
what
that
was
as well.
what was the response to that? Was there pushback there? Or was he accepting of it?
No, he's never pushed back because he knows why it started.
He knows what's up.
He left a
does.
little too much space for you to drive into, for you to make the
That's right.
overtake.
If you no longer go for a gap that exists, then you're no longer a racing driver.
Yeah.
I
I also think he doesn't really care. Like there's not a lot that gets him going. So I would have to be.
What gets him going, though?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
no,
This is what everyone is curious about. What everyone wants to know is that Oscar seems to just be cool, calm, and collected at all times, and we need to know from the source, like what riles him up, what
A
can
mother
get him
knows.
there. A mother knows.
I actually don't. Like I honestly, I tried to think about his like Christmas and birthdays and. I remember taking him with our mother's group. I took him to a High Five concert. Do you know? You probably don't know High Five. So High Five was a super popular kids band, like group. They'd
Band,
sing
like a boy band.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Okay.
boys and girls, and it was really popular. And so we all got. There's 5 mums with 5 little kids, and they were about, I don't know, maybe 3. And we took them to this concert, and the little kids were going nuts, and Oscar they were going completely nuts, and Oscar just sat there. He was focused the whole time, but did not smile, did not dance, did not move. He was definitely from that young, just nothing got him going.
So not even when he was hungry as an infant or like...
No. Just...
So he would just kind of sit there, wait patiently for,
for the bottle.
Cheerios or,
No.
goldfish or whatever you would... Yeah.
No. So, because he's the eldest. Oscar's got 3 younger sisters. I had no idea like most of us, no idea what I was doing. And in my mother's group, that's for the first time I didn't even have friends who had babies. And so my mother's group was my first reference. And we'd meet for these meetings every week or whatever it was. And they go, isn't the best part of the day when they wake up in the morning, you go into they're in their crib and they're just smiling at you? And Oscar would wake up and just scream, like, get me out of here now. So he never just, and I thought that was just normal. So the second he woke up, I would run in there to get him because he would just be not happy. But it wasn't until his 3 sisters came along and they did that I went, so that's what they're talking about, because he just was, I'm up and I'm going now. Yeah.
I see. And what and was it that he just wanted to, he wasn't going fast enough in the crib? He was like, throw me in a car. I mean, it's like, it's interesting thinking about, you raising this kid and how he found his way into this world, into this sport, and what clicked for him.
I can remember we used to read, his dad and I used to read the kids bedtime stories. But Oscar didn't want your normal nursery rhymes we would have to read him car magazines. Like that's from the age of younger than 2. So before Oscar could put sentences together, we would be driving and he'd be in his car seat and he would be reeling off what cars were in front of us by their badges. So he would be going, that's a Ford, that's a Toyota, that's a Mercedes, he could,
before he could actually speak.
Yeah.
What was his first word? Like Prius?
What was his mom? To be honest, it was probably Dad, but Yeah.
Right.
When did McLaren enter the
McLaren,
chat?
I never ever heard him say McLaren until he rang me and said, "Hey, I've just signed my first F1 contract."
Yeah, wow.
And even then, it was like, no, I was not expecting McLaren.
Well, we'll get
Yeah.
to that in a
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Foreshadowing. Foreshadowing. Nice.
Well, sorry, and even back then, a few years ago, I don't know why, but we were watching. The kids and I were watching a family video from when they were little, and Oscar was there, and he used to, I forgot he did this until we saw the video, but for a long period of time, he behaved like he was a car. So he would,
Okay.
he wouldn't walk, he would run, but he would spin the wheels first and then accelerate. And so in the video, this for home video, he's doing that in the background, and he's like, "What am I doing?" And I said, "Well, right now you're spinning your wheels and you're about to accelerate." And then he would run, and like he was.
So he would like stamp his feet?
He would like
No,
do
he
the
would-
cartoon. He would
run on the.
He would do the
yeah,
cartoon.
yeah. He would run on the spot, like,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and go.
That's why he always
Yeah.
nails the start. That's why he's so good at the start.
So would he make noises? Would he go? Would he like
Yeah.
do the sound effects?
Yeah.
And when he hit the brakes, would he go?
Yep.
And when he wanted you to get out of his way, would he say, "Mom, excuse me," or would he go beep beep?
I knew. I was never in his way because he was always gone.
Right.
You
But
need to
he-
leave. You need to
You
But
need to leave the
he-
space.
And we gave him his first. Again, we've got a video of this. We gave him his first bike when he was young, like I don't know, like a proper bike. And we were videoing it, his birthday, like happy birthday. And he got on it and he took off and came speeding back and slammed on the brakes and just did a big burnout. And that was the first time. That was the first time he'd ever been on a bike. Yeah, and he
Wait. Tricycle
two-wheeler or a
like,
tricycle?
No,
two-wheeler?
it was a two-wheeler, but with training wheels.
Okay.
I
Okay.
thought he just taught himself how to ride a bike.
No. He did teach himself super, super early, but no, the first time he was on his bike and had training wheels, but he just hit the brakes and I remember on the video, he's like, "Did you see that, Dad? Did you see that?" Because his dad was filming him. It's just been in him. And, people have said to me, "Well, you could have," because I don't, if I had my way, he would have been a golfer. Like that's a mother sport. Just send him off to golf.
Right.
And,
I see.
that, or even tennis would be better than F1.
Right, sure.
And someone said to me, a few people have said, "Well, you had a say." But I didn't. There was just no fighting it. It was just it's in him.
Are you the first mother ever that's like, "I want a maternity test"? Yeah. What do you see of yourself in?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question because there's not a lot, as in temperament. Yeah, we're very. Yeah, I mean, you can see the difference.
Part of the charm of your guys' dynamic is that you do seem like opposites in a very complimentary way. There's kind of, just in terms of, I don't know how you're like, I don't know how much they compliment each other, but I just saw your face. But
yeah,
you're very expressive and he's very kind of stoic, and that kind of dynamic. Yeah. I think it's very also a lot of people identify with that, especially I think within like the Gen Z. Gen Z kids with their parents that
yes,
millennials, people like, older generations are just like expressive in a way that these young kids aren't. And they're just,
the
kids are just like, it's enough with the charm and the loudness.
But Oscar
and the
doesn't
frizz.
even fight it. He doesn't he doesn't even fight. Like he years ago, he was about, he must have been about 13 and he won an award, he won an academic award at school, and I was the president of the parents committee. So they had me up on stage actually handing out the awards to these kids. And so I had to hand out an award to my own kid. There's hundreds of people in this, in the theatre at the school. And he came up on stage And so normally it's very formal and you just shake their hand their award, and they walk off the stage. So he gave me nothing. So I just gave him a big kiss in front of everyone, and he didn't even, and everyone just erupted with clapping because that never happened at this school at these awards because it was all very formal. And
right.
he just looked at everyone, nodded, and just walked off. Like it wasn't even like mom, or he was embarrassed. He just went, yep, and that was it. And he just resigned to it.
Right.
But you did share a story that he does emote. He just keeps it. He's like an iceberg.
Well,
right.
So a few years ago, he was home for the summer, and he said, "Mum, do you want to come for a ride with me?" He's exercising. He said, "Do you want to come for a ride?" And so we were riding along the beach, along the footpath, and I had to brake really quickly because a kid rode out in front of me. So I went over the handlebars and was sliding along the road, and I skunned myself. And Oscar was wearing a heart rate monitor at the time, and so I literally, I skunned myself. But then I'm like, I got back up, and he's like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Let's keep going. And he's like, okay. That was it. So we did the ride. But then when we came home, he checked out his heart rate, and it was stable the entire time, except for the moment that I crashed and it went through the roof. And I just said, so you do have a heart. We just don't see it.
I knew it.
That's how I knew.
Yeah.
Right.
But in the moment,
amazing.
he's like, maybe he was in shock. I don't think so. But he's just like, are you right? And I'm like, yeah. So there's no like, Mom, right. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He just like, are you okay? Yeah.
So there's no sibling that can piss him off? There's nobody that knows how?
Not really. Because again, I mean, it's a boy with 3 girls. So he just doesn't go there because he's never going to win with that.
Right.
You're not going to win. I wouldn't probably take on the 3 of them.
Yeah.
Do they play video? We heard that maybe that it gets competitive when they play video games.
Oh gosh, yeah. So Mario Kart. So they would get, they'll get on Mario Kart and just go, and they're very vocal, which is upsetting to me because the girls will, if I make the slightest noise or reaction to Oscar's race, the girls will be like, Mum, like, just calm down. But if you watch them on Mario Kart, they're going mental. And, I remember they had, a couple of years ago, we were at our holiday house, and the girls had a whole lot of friends staying with us, and they're all playing Mario Kart, and we had to turn it off because Oscar was racing. So they all watched, and I think I'm very composed as a racing mum, but I gasp. Yeah. So if something, I don't scream or make a noise. But if it's close, I just go. And they don't like it because it scares them. So they were like, Mom, stop doing that. And I'm like, sorry. But then I went to bed because it was really late, that race. I went to bed, and then I'm trying to sleep, and I could hear them all screaming. I'm like, what are they doing? So I get up, and they're all watching Mario Kart. So I stood in front of the TV and pulled the thingo out of the wall. I said, so let's just get this straight. Tomorrow night when we're watching the next race, because I think it was like F3 so they had 2 races that weekend. Okay, when we watch the next race, I don't want to hear any of you commenting on me because, when I'm watching my sport, but that's my kid. That's not Toadie or
Yoshi, right?
Yoshi, and he doesn't get another life when he crashes.
Right. Right.
I don't want to hear it. And they're all
Right.
sat there like, okay. And then not a word was said the next night.
So what's the
Nice.
most nerve-wracking part of the watching your son?
The start.
Is the start?
Yeah, I hate the start.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the rest, I'm actually much better watching F1 than I was, in all the other categories. I used to lose 2 or 3 kilos a weekend when he'd race.
Wow.
Like you weren't eating?
No, not really. But if I was, it was just going straight through me because of the nerves, and I was just not
Oh, I
sleeping,
see.
and the adrenaline, and it would all I would put the weight back on within a week. And then they were only racing every 3-4 weeks in those categories, so it was fine. But
Right.
I actually thought when he signed as an F1 driver, I thought I'm in big trouble here because it's every second weekend.
Yeah.
But it doesn't stress me. I don't know. It's just the start I don't like.
How did you learn to cope? How did that shift from like you being physically sick to like being able to handle the continuous exposure to that sort of?
Well, I actually went to a hypnotherapist, and I don't know if that worked or not, but I perhaps it did. But I think there's just the factors are different. So in go-karting, there could be 40 of them on the track, and they're, they're 10, they're crazy. Yeah. So there's that. Yeah. And then even in the categories, there's still more drivers than in F1, and they're paying to be there. So if they crash the car, they most of them would just buy a new one before the next. So the consequences weren't there, and you're dealing with like 15-year-old boys,
right?
You're not, the mindset is very different than I think, even what Oscar's 23, So I think, they can't be doing that. They can't be making crazy moves because they lose their job.
There's safety nerves, just want this to be safe, but there's also, you understand that the degree of pressure that he's under and the stakes and the all the rest of it as well. There's a lot. There's and with the other categories, Oscar's the most conservative person I know. Mm-hmm. So he won't. Every single move he makes is calculated. I don't think I've ever seen him make a risky move that's just, where he wasn't thinking. So I can trust that he won't do that because I think Oscar's unique like that. I honestly don't know another kid who's as measured as him. So that's unique. So you can't rely on the other 30 kids on the track. So they're gonna take risks. They're gonna make mistakes. So I'm completely at ease with what Oscar's doing.
As your worry over safety has maybe gone down a peg or two, has your concern about where he finishes, has that risen?
No, because I think, he actually really never spoke about being an F1 driver until maybe if when he won F3, F2, we never spoke about it because it was just it was an unrealistic goal.
Right. So what was the more realistic goal? Where did he see himself in 10 years, do you think?
I think he just wanted to race something. And then, and then I think he probably would have been an engineer. So we didn't really talk about it. We just kind of went, well, do what you can, and this is how far we can help you. And from then on, it's up to you. And to his credit, he did it all. Not just on track, also off track. He was given. I was taught all 4 of the kids, you be kind and you be decent and you be a good person and you will get opportunities and life will be easier. And if you are not kind and not decent, people won't want to give you opportunities. And so he did that. Everything, you know, that he has, where he's got is totally what he has created, both with skill and dedication, but also with behavior. And, you know, he was picked to represent Australia at the World Karting Championships when he was 12, and they didn't pick him. He was good, you know, he was one of the top drivers at the time, but he wasn't the best. But they picked him because they knew he would represent Australia well. They knew that he wouldn't throw his helmet if he lost the race or ram other kids or so. And it was from that moment that it all went from there. That's where he got noticed by European teams, and that was him being a good kid.
You can speak so positively about your son. What is that? You feel proud? You feel like, what does that bring up for you?
I think, you know, people always ask me, I always get asked when he achieves something, when he wins a championship or when he, you know, wins a race or qualifies well. They're like, you must be so proud. And I always say, I'm not proud that he drives. I mean, he knows this. I've said this to him. I'm not proud because you can drive fast, because I almost feel like that's innate. He's always been able to drive fast, and he does work. He does train really hard. So I'm proud that he is dedicated, but I'm just really, really proud of how he conducts himself. He just, it doesn't get much better as a parent. And his three sisters are the same. They're kind and they're decent and they're thoughtful. And that's what I'm incredibly proud of.
And have there been any pinch, like, I know you don't care about the results, but like, what have been the pinch me moments, the biggest pinch me moments you think?
I think to me, the biggest moment was when he was standing on the podium with the Australian flag and the national anthem playing. That was like, that's where I was like, oh my goodness, he's done this. Yeah. And I mean, there's still, to be honest, I don't know when you get used to seeing your kid on TV, you know, or seeing billboards, you know. I'd be driving around Melbourne and there's billboards all over Melbourne with my kid, and it's still a novelty. Like, you still take photos and go send it to my mum and dad, and I don't know when that ever changes. It's so bizarre. Yeah. So they're kind of pinch me moments, like, that's my kid up there. It's never like, oh yeah. I mean, for his sisters it is. It's like, that's on the TV again.
Oscar again.
Yeah.
Vankas, not only does Cash App sponsor our favorite perfectly branded Formula One team, but they also make it easier for you to save money so you can do things that you love, like going to an F1 race. Boobies. Listen, to be honest, we thought that Cash App was just a way to send people money, right? You just send people money. Hey, Cash App me. Okay, I got you. But actually, it's a faster and simpler way to bank. You can start saving with as little as $1 with no hidden fees, no minimum balance requirements, and no account fees. Minimum balance requirements is crazy. It's just like, let me live. And Cash App lets you do that. And we all know that overdraft fees make no sense. Why are you charging someone if they don't have any money? Plus, when you deposit $300 or more in paychecks, you can get up to $50 in free overdraft coverage. It pays to get paid on Cash App. So go download the app today. Now back to the show. Do you have any superstitions before when Oscar races? Any like?
No. I used to cross my fingers. But then that was okay when he was racing for half an hour. But, you know, an F1 race is like an hour and a half. I get cramps in my fingers.
I see. So now you would do it for the whole race. I see.
Yeah, I would do it for the whole race. And then I did it. And then he did. So the very first race, his very first F1 race, I went to Bahrain and to watch. And, you know, was the whole fingers crossed. And then
he had a horrible first race, didn't he?
Yeah, the car failed on, I think, like 12.
Right.
So it's kind of like, I'm like, all right. And so then it was like, I'm not crossing my fingers. That's not working.
Yeah.
So no, I don't have any superstitions.
Were you like a fan of Formula? Like, how was Formula One in your purview before he got into it? Like, what's been your experience? But it seems like you're very into it now, so much that you listen to this podcast. So I'm curious, like, what's been your journey getting into Formula One, and what have been like the things about it that pique your interest?
So my dad was a mechanic and used to be involved with rally car driving. So I grew up, and he would always have F1 on, and I grew up going to car rallies and things like that. But that I wasn't interested. It was just we were all dragged along. So I got that in the background, and then Oscar's dad has always been into cars. So there's always been car stuff in the background, but it wasn't until when Oscar, I don't know, when he got to, I think when he won F3, that's when I thought he got signed as an Renault junior driver. Mm-hmm. So he was kind of on the pathway. So I thought, I don't know anything about this. So then I started reading autobiographies of drivers. Like I read Damon Hill and Alain Prost. And so I just started reading their autobiographies just to kind of work out what is this world that my kid is getting into. And then I learned about, then it's quite fascinating. It's there's the strategies and there's a lot about it that's really fascinating. And I watched some documentaries. The only one I wouldn't watch is the Senna documentary because we know how that ends.
Yeah.
Right.
I did end up watching it years later, but so that's how I got into it. And then I just learnt about, and then I learnt as I went. So watching the races.
Did you watch Drive to Survive?
I watched. No, you know what happened is I'd been over with Oscar, flew home, and I had jet lag, and I was scrolling through Netflix in the middle of the night and I thought, well, I'll watch it because I hadn't been interested, and I thought I'll watch the first episode. And I don't know if you remember, but the very first episode is focused on Daniel Ricciardo.
Yeah,
and they showed his mum. So by that stage, he'd been in it for years, and they showed his mum in the garage, and she looked so anxious that I thought she was going to have a heart attack. I thought, oh no, this doesn't get easier, and she's been doing it for years, and look at her. So I didn't watch it after that.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So and I've watched snippets of it. But I don't, to be honest, I don't have a lot of time to sit and binge watch.
They came to your house, didn't they?
Oh my Lord. Yeah. So they came, and so Oscar was coming home for the Melbourne Grand Prix. He was just the Renault junior driver. So he was they wanted him there. So they flew him back, and they wanted him just at the Melbourne Grand Prix just to do PR stuff for them. And so it was the first time we'd met Lily, his girlfriend, in person. So FaceTimed with her, but she was coming to Australia for the first time. So I picked them up from the airport quite late at night. We got home. We were sitting around for about an hour talking, and then it was about midnight, and we were like, we've got to go to bed. And Oscar said, oh, yeah, I told you, right, that the Netflix crew are coming in the morning, didn't I? I told you that, didn't I, Mum? I'm like, nah. And he's like, and he saw, I saw the look of panic in his eyes because I said, no. And he goes, yeah, I told you that. So he was, I don't know if he was intentionally gaslighting me or he was trying to, but he's like, I would have told you that. And I go, Oscar, do you not think I would remember that if you told me a film crew were coming to my house at 8 a.m.? And he's like, and so he's like, okay, well, yeah, they're coming, but it's no big deal. And I'm like, are you joking? Like, and the house was not Netflix
presentable.
ready.
Yeah.
and it's midnight. I'm like, Oscar, mate. And he's like, I don't even, and the girls are like, I'm not being filmed I'm not going on TV. I don't want to be part of it.
Yeah.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
And Oscar's like, well, I don't think they're not here to film you. They're just filming me.
Right.
And I said, Oscar, have you watched Drive to Survive? And he's like, yeah. And I go, when they're filming at the driver's home, do you not notice that the family's all there? And he's like, And he goes, I'll ring someone. And so he rings, I don't know, someone, his managers or someone. And they're like, he said so he gets off the phone. He goes, it's no big deal. They just want to film us just a normal breakfast, nothing, just normal, like just day to day.
Right.
But he hasn't lived at home for, I don't know, 5 years by this stage. I said, so Oscar, you know how that looks? So that's me screaming at the top of my lungs upstairs for your sisters to get downstairs and get to school. And that's them stomping down, grabbing something highly inappropriate to eat for breakfast and storming out the door, like basically giving me the finger. Right. I'm like, so if you want that, streamed worldwide, bring it on. And then he's like, So he goes to bed. So I stay up for hours getting the house ready. And then I'm up a few hours later going and buying croissants and, juice.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the film crew
lying
arrives
to the world.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the film crew arrives at 8 a.m. on the dot. No one in my house is awake.
Right.
So I'm ready to go. And then Lily comes downstairs. She's ready, looks beautiful. I'm like, oh, Lily, is Oscar ready? Can you let him know? And she's like, oh, I think he's still in bed. I'm like, okay, would you mind letting him know that the film crew are here? They're ready? And she's like, oh, okay. So Oscar comes downstairs. He literally had just got out of bed.
Right.
And I'm like, go upstairs and fix your hair because it was and then the girls, so one of the girls comes down and then the doorbell rings and Oscar's trainer, Kim, is at the door. I'm like, and we know Kim well, he's an Aussie guy. And I'm like, what are you doing here? And he goes, I'm here for the filming. I'm like, oh, so you knew about it. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, because we have breakfast with you every morning.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't think he meant to offend me, but he's like, just making it a little bit more interesting. So Kim's there. And then the Oscar's older, the two older girls, they've come downstairs. They're not thrilled, but they're there.
Right.
And then Oscar eventually comes downstairs and then they're like, okay, well, where's the little sister? And I said, how do you go tell May? And May's like, I don't know, maybe 14 at this stage. Yeah. I go tell May, come on, we're ready to go. And Hattie comes back down. She goes, yeah, no, she's not doing it. I'm like, what? Just go and tell her to stop mucking around. We're doing, we're ready to go. And Hattie goes, no, she's not doing it. She's dressed in her school uniform. She's gone to school. And I'm like, oh. So I go upstairs. She's in her full uniform, bags packed. Now, that kid has fought me on going to school for the last 2 months. I've had to drag her to school every other day except for today. And I go, what are you doing? She goes, I'm going to school. I go, no, well, come downstairs and you don't have to speak. Just eat a croissant and she's like, nah, I don't want to do that. She goes, I didn't sign up for this. I said, none of us signed up for this, but they just want our family just to eat breakfast. That's it. And she's like, nah. Right. And, before that, Kim had said, Kim had realized there was a bit of tension. Kim's like, I'll fix this because the girls love Kim. Everyone loves Kim. So he goes, oh, leave it with me. And he'd gone up, and he'd come down and gone, no, she's not. So May just left. She just walked out and went to school like 2 hours too early, but that was her point. Yeah, and so then we filmed breakfast, and then it never made the cut because then the whole Oscar moving to McLaren story blew up.
Right.
And so which I'm not unhappy about that we didn't get to feature on Netflix. But there was a lot of effort that morning that I went to make us look like we were all normal.
Sure.
And it all went, it's all on the cutting room floor, but it's fine.
He'll take it.
Yeah. So that was my Netflix experience.
That's such a classic thing of just like, you do all this effort and then it's just no one ever even sees it. You spent this whole morning.
And once again, I think it's a really
back.
good example of Oscar. Like, it's like I don't think they were even, it's no big deal. But when he came down finally and he's like in front of all the crew, he's like, what is this? And I'm like, we're having breakfast. And he's like, wow. And I'm like, shut up. Yeah. So he just, it's just classic him.
Well, that would have, I mean, if I were him, I would be really pissed if my sister was like, just wouldn't come down and pretend to eat for 20 minutes. But
no, I think he's quite happy with it. Again,
Right.
It's totally normal. It's totally,
Right.
He understands. I actually think he kind of, especially now, I think he actually kind of likes that I'm not sure there's many places in the world now where he can just walk in and he's just Oscar. There is definitely no, oh my God, he's here. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think he gets that anywhere else.
How's he coping with his newfound fame?
I don't think it's any different. Like I said, oh my God, so you met Matt Damon? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, what? Was he nice? And he's like, yeah, he's nice. Yeah. he FaceTimes. So he FaceTimes. That's how we usually communicate. Yeah. And
now, do we get a lot of chin in the nose, or does he like center it?
No, he's always in bed. Always in bed. So he's lying back in bed. And he's always done that, even at boarding school. And when he was in Bahrain for the Grand Prix this year, I went to Bahrain the year before and stayed at the same hotel as Oscar. This year he FaceTimed from Bahrain, so I knew he was in Bahrain, and he's in bed, and we're talking for about half an hour, and I said, "What is that behind you? What are you leaning?" He's leaning against the wall, and I said, "What is that behind you?" And he's like, "I don't know." And I said, "Is that a tapestry?" And he turned the camera around, and there was this beautiful ornate tapestry with gold through it, and I'm like, what hotel are you staying at? Like, that's fancy. And he's like, oh, I'm at the Royal Palace. I'm like, what? He goes, I'm a guest of I'm at the Royal he goes, I'm at the Royal Palace. I'm like, what? Why are you at the Royal Palace? He goes, I'm a guest of the Crown Prince. He owns a team. And I'm like, oh my God, get your head off the tapestry. Oscar, that would be worth like $1 squillion, and normal. And he's like, he goes, he turned around and looked at it. He goes, I don't think so, Mum. It looks pretty old. Like, I go, and I'm like, and then he scanned the room. He was staying in like a villa on the grounds of the palace. And it was beautiful, like as you'd imagine, beautiful antique furniture, and it was just stunning. But right in the middle of the room is his suitcase, and it looked like he had picked up all his clothes and gone. There's clothes strewn everywhere, and I'm like, Oscar, pick up your clothes, and he's like, I go, you're in a palace, mate. And he's like, no one is seeing this. No one's coming in here. I'm like, well, I'm sure there's cleaners. And he's like, yeah, but Mum, the prince is just walking around in his Birkenstocks in his body. He's like, no one cares. And it's like, okay, I give up.
All right.
So fame has not changed Oscar, and I don't believe
fame has not changed him. We heard that you have a story of how he told you that he was ultimately going to F1 and going to McLaren. What can you tell us that story?
So so it was a Saturday night, and I was Ubering his sisters and their friends to different parties. So I was dropping off one group, picking up the next, and he'd FaceTimed. So we're all, the kids would get in the car and they'd be like, "Hi, Oscar, what are you doing?" And so I don't know, that went on for maybe an hour. I don't know how long I was running around. And then when the last kid had got out of the car, he's like, "Mum, is everybody out of the car now?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "So there's no one in the car with you now?" And I said, "No." And he's like, "So you're alone. Can anyone hear us?" And I'm like, "Oscar, like,
right.
what is?" I thought he was going to tell me something really bad. And I'm like, "Oh, now you're." And he goes, "Mum, you might want to pull over." I'm like, "Oh no, what is happening?"
Yeah.
And so I pulled over, and he's like, I go, "What? So what?" And he goes, "I just wanted to tell you that I've just signed my first F1 contract." I'm like, "Oh my God. And I'm like, so what color are we wearing? Are we wearing like navy and pink? Because I'm thinking Alpine.
Right.
And he's like, "No." I'm like, what color are you wearing? He's like, "Orange." And I'm like, "Oh my God, McLaren. Oh my God." Because that was totally new to me. I did not see that coming.
Right.
And I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing. That's amazing." And then it dawned on me what that meant. And I was like, "Oh no. Oh no, wait." "Oh my God." And he's nodding. And I said, "Oh my God, Daniel. I love Daniel." And he's like, just deadpan. He's like, "Yep, everybody loves Daniel."
Yeah.
He goes, he's like, "That's going to be a problem." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Oh man." Yeah. So that was how I found out about, him being an F1 driver.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was crazy.
Yeah. Everybody loves Daniel. It's such a great line. I mean, you couldn't have written that better.
Yeah.
And he actually said, he actually said, of all the F1 drivers ever, Daniel is the worst one to be replacing.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's right.
That's so funny.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And from one Australian to the other, and they're on opposite ends of the Australian archetypes,
Polar opposite.
Yeah.
Could not be more opposite in terms of personality. So there was
right. Well,
he's like the anti-Ricardo.
Yeah.
In every way.
But what? That was like one of the first things I noticed about Oscar. He's like he's giving representation to Australians that aren't like have a big, shoey personality like Daniel.
Yeah, he's definitely unique. He's he's Australian in many ways, in that and he's just like, and he doesn't really care too much, but he's pretty unique.
Venkas, as you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM this season, and we'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we have a special offer for our listeners each week. If you have not signed up for BetMGM yet, keyword yet, if you have, we love you. If you haven't, get on it and use the code DADDY, and you will get up to $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code DADDY, because we're fun. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use the bonus code DADDY when you sign up. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM, use bonus code DADDY and get up your $1,500 first bet offer today.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369 for New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 for Massachusetts. 21 and over only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP for Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF for Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 for Puerto Rico or visit www.1800gambler.net for West Virginia. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
So I want to get to the F1 thing in a second, but he had to make that tough jump to boarding school. He had to move to Europe to race. I mean, maybe the hardest part other than watching him race? Was that the hardest part?
I mean, it's going to sound heartless if I say no. I don't know what the crux of it is that was he and his dad they'd moved to the UK for a year just to see how, just to experience karting against European kids as opposed to Australians, which with my blessing. But then halfway through that year, his dad rang and said, hey, he's doing great. An F4 team wants him next year. So, he's gonna go to boarding school and, yeah, and so I was like, okay. And Chris said, well, we'll be home in a week. He'll pack his stuff, say his goodbyes, and I'll drop him off and he'll start the year. And I was like, okay. And so by the time he came home, I just pulled him aside and said, do you want to do this? And he's like, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was a no-brainer. Right. Like he loved it. So yeah. I couldn't, I think if he was over there and he was miserable, that would be devastating. But he loved it. He just was.
You don't want him to miss you a little bit?
Well, so there was a story where when he was, I don't know, he'd been at boarding school for a few months, and then Billy Munger had his crash. Do you know about in F4 the crash where Billy he crashed? And so Chris couldn't be at that race with Oscar because he was at most of the races, so he couldn't go because he had to work overseas. So he said, I think one of us should be there. Can you go? So I flew over to the UK for the weekend to be with Oscar, and I picked him up from boarding school, and we were all on edge because what had happened to Billy was really unsettling for everybody. And I didn't know how he was, and so I picked him up from boarding school, and he got in the car, and I'm like, how are you? And I hadn't spoken to him since Billy's crash, and he's like, yeah, I'm good. How are you? And I said, yeah, I'm okay. And I said, but are you all right? And he's like, yeah. And I said, are you nervous about racing? And he said, I race every second weekend, Mum. What are you talking about? So then I realized it's not in his head.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to put it there because he's about to go race all weekend. I'm not going to mess with his head if he's not stressed, or I'm not going to go there. So he raced the whole weekend, and everyone was on edge except for the kids, the drivers, most of them. But the team was on edge. Everyone was on edge. And then I hardly saw him because he was doing his thing. So then I was conscious that I had to drive him back to boarding school, drop him off, and then I'm flying home again, and I don't know when I'm seeing him. So I thought it was a bit sad because I hadn't seen him all weekend and we were running out of time. But I thought, oh, well, I've got 2 hours in the car. That'll be nice. That'll be a nice time with him. And from the moment that we got in the car to drive back to boarding school, he slept the whole way. So I had to navigate through roadworks, and we got to the estate the boarding school's on through the gates, and he woke up. And he looked around and he's like, home sweet home. And I just wanted to backslap him because I'm like, this is not your home. And then we got out of the car, and I was helping him carry his bags up to his boarding house where they have a big lounge room, very much like Harry Potter, a big living area where all the boys were, and big couches and a pool table. We got up there, and the boys had been watching his race, and he'd had a great weekend. So when he walked in, they were like, yeah. woo. And they just kind of, they're all around him and backslapping him. And one of them said, oh, they took his bags and basically took him off in a wave of fist pumping. And he's like, okay, Mum, see ya. I'll see you, I don't know, next time. And he's gone. And then I just got in the car and cried all the way back to Heathrow because that was it. It was done. And then his dad rang me when I got to the airport and he's like, is everything okay? Did you return the hire car? And I'm like, yeah. And he goes, how was Oscar? And I said, Oscar's an asshole. And he's like, what? And Oscar's he's never, ever been an asshole. And Chris is like, what? What did he do? And I told him that story and Chris just laughed. And he goes, what did you want him to do? Did you want him to cry, hug your feet and go, please don't leave me, Mummy? And I'm like, no.
Yes.
Well, no, I didn't because that would have been torture.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
But he's living the dream. Like I just was so happy for him. So if it means that we don't get to see him that often, I'll take that any day for any of my kids. If they're So it's not been I think probably for him, he probably got lonely and he probably missed us, but it wasn't worth. There's no point saying that because he was doing it, we were doing it. I wasn't going to get on the phone and go, I'm so sad, I miss you. And he wasn't going to do the same because that just made it harder for everyone.
Well, I could think of a few other parents that might have done that, but
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think if you, I don't know. I think if your kid is honestly living his dream, I think most parents I know would go, oh, that's all I want. That's all I want for my kid.
Right.
Just to be happy.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a thing that all parents have to deal with at some point is the kid kind of like going off on their own and, being able to be on their own and thrive and enjoy their life. And I think
you just had to do it earlier.
You had to do it early.
Yeah, but then Oscar was also fiercely independent from the first day of primary school. We lived around the corner from the school and we used to go there and, play on the play equipment when he was little. And so on the first day of school, he's like, I just got out of the shower and he's fully dressed with the backpack on. He goes, okay, Mum, I'll see you later. I'm like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm going to school. I'm like, well, I'm not ready yet. And he goes, I don't need you to come with me. I'm like, well, you actually do, mate. He goes, I know the way. And I said, no, but I have to come. And he's like, oh. So then he made me walk behind him the whole way. And literally the moment that he stepped into the schoolyard, he goes, all right, I'm here. You can go now. Like he was 5.
Yeah.
So, he had cut the cord.
5?
He was 5. And he's like, I don't need you.
Dude.
My God.
He's a legend.
It's built different.
Well, I think it's interesting because you are independent as well. It feels like in this way, in that you have kind of in this space carved out your own place as people are big fans of you. And as not just, and that's Oscar's mom. They're like, no, we love Nicole Piastri. I think people have become fans of Oscar through you. I think we were hoping to maybe get into that. So your iconic Twitter presence. When was the first time that you kind of that those tweets started to gain some traction? What was the first one that you kind of that put you on the map in that way?
I don't know. Okay, so I think it was before F1. He started to get a little bit of a following. Obviously once he got to once he became well known for signing for McLaren, the whole shift from Alpine to McLaren, that's when he, people really started taking note. But, he'd done some stuff like he lost a kitchen knife and he started posting he started tweeting in F3 or F2 about DRS, and that took a lot of, so that really kicked off. People thought that was very funny. So so he kicked off, and then, he'd posted, I've lost a kitchen knife. How do you lose a knife? And then I just replied and said, maybe check your bedroom floor. And so then people were like, that's his mum. And so it started from me it was really just communicating with him.
Yeah.
That's how it kind of started. And that's kind of the relationship that we have is there's a little bit of, I push a bit and he's like, yeah, that's my mum. You're like, and one of the moments where it gained attention is in one of the categories. He was doing it was a live Q&A via Twitter. And it was like, sending questions and I'll answer them in this hour. So I sent in a tweet. I signed up for Twitter and said, I've heard your mum's an excellent driver. Did she teach you everything you know?
Yeah.
And I'd sent in a few other questions just to bait him a bit, and he didn't respond to those, but he did respond to that one, but then roasted me straight back and just said, my mum taught, so he answered it and he said, my mum taught me, like, he was roasting my driving, like he's saying that I was really, use the brakes too frequently. And he's like, so my mum taught me not to do that, what not to do.
She taught you not to drive.
Yeah. So he roasted me back.
See, yep.
And there was actually recently he did that again. So every now and then most of the time he just ignores me, and he doesn't even follow me on Twitter. But so I'll tag him, but
we've seen we've seen that your two sons, Yuki Tsunoda and Oscar Piastri.
But recently he was having a subtle dig, and no one would know. But sometimes he has a subtle dig, but people wouldn't know the back. So he posted
sneak diss, it's called.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was his birthday, and he posted a photo of the cake that McLaren gave him. It was like I think it was a basketball jersey but it was four photos that he posted of him when he was younger with birthday cakes.
Right.
And so there was the cake that McLaren had just given him, but then there was a cake that actually wasn't even his, it was his grandfather's, and he was just claiming it. But then there was a figure, a number 8 racing track that I had done. But then there was this clown cake that he was 2, right? So he won't remember it. So he's posted it, and it was a family friend that made the clown cake, not me. But he's gone on Twitter and gone, awesome cake, sure beats the clown cake. So he thinks I made the clown cake, so he's having a crack at me when he's really having a crack at our family friend. Right. And so so it was like, and so I just went back and said, that one wasn't mine. My piece of artwork was the racing track. Thanks.
Right. All right.
So it was just, so there's that interaction. That's how it kind of kicked off.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you've had some iconic moments. There's one where this Kiara,
claimed him.
This is my child, and then you said, wrong, Kiara. I do believe this is my child.
No. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of claiming him.
Well, he seems
he seems
like
lineage.
a gun for hire. He seems like he wants to be adopted. Like, can we talk about his ethnicity and nationality for a second? So,
he's a 16th.
He's a 16th
Chinese,
Italian. So can we break that down?
So that's on his dad's side. So people jump on the Italian because of the Piastri, which is Italian.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's just as much Chinese as he's Italian. It's a long way back. It's not like no one was born in Italy or like no one close. So Chris's grandfather was Chinese. Was Italian, and he was married. So Chris's grandmother, who he was married to, was Chinese. Yeah, people pick up on the Piastri, of course, but he's just as much Chinese. So it's like a long way back.
And then what about your side of the family?
Oh, so my side is Scottish, Irish. Yeah, that's my side, which he probably doesn't even know about. That's where the pasty skin comes from.
Right. Yeah, because he doesn't scream Italian when you look at him.
No.
Well, we say,
no.
he's a stand-up guy, as they like to say in the mafia movies. He's a snitch.
Yeah, he's got that. That maybe that's come from that line.
Yes.
Yeah. So he has got. There is some, there's Yugoslav. He's on his dad's mum's side. There's a mix in there. So he could claim.
So he claims a lot of stuff, and is willing to be adopted, and
he is. Hence the Yuki.
Right.
If this is what we're doing.
You've laid claim to Yuki. I mean, in this F1 space, you clearly Yuki's a fave. If Oscar, let's say in the race, and Oscar's car DNFs, the mechanical thing craps out. Like, who are you really gunning for, rooting for to do well in those races?
Okay. Well, logistically, I think it has to be Lando. Right.
Okay.
All right. Forget Lando. Okay. After Lando,
so Lando's taken out.
After McLaren's
double DNF.
Yeah.
Double DNF.
Both McLarens are out. Who are you rooting for?
Okay. Well, definitely. I mean, there's so many options, isn't there? But definitely Yuki. Like, wouldn't you? I love. Like, there's Yuki. There's Daniel. I mean, I could give you a beautiful quality of every single driver, to be honest. But Yuki's up there. I just love. When we watch the race, the girls and I, how they give you from home, they'll give you that there's a few seconds warning when they're going to come on the radio.
Like a bididoo?
So you see their name, and so when it's Yuki, we all go, "Oh, it's Yuki!" We stop everything. Because we know it's going to be gold.
Right.
So I just love you. There's, Yuki, Daniel. Alex Albon. He's like, There's.
That's when we had to reach out to you, because I'm like, I processed all the shirt orders. And I see Nicole Piastri, and I go, this can't be the Nicole Piastri. And then I look at the address. I'm like, okay, it's Melbourne. Okay.
Yeah.
And then I see Alex Albon. She's buying an Alex Albon shirt. What the hell is this?
Yeah. So my partner, Tim, loves Alex Albon. Like, and who doesn't?
Okay.
He's just divine. So he'll always be rooting for Oscar number one. But Alex
because I was about to say, because if him and Alex are,
he'll go Oscar,
together.
but Alex is a very close second.
Okay.
And so for Tim's birthday, I thought it'd be funny to get him an Alex Albon T-shirt, so I ordered it from you guys, and he loves it. So that's how that came about. So that's Tim.
I see. And you're rocking our Yuki merch right now. You're rocking.
I love it. I wear it all the time.
I have another question. When you see and then you see Piastri, when you see his radio is about to come on, are you about to be like, this is about to be a snooze?
Yeah. Yep. But when Oscar won F2, I'm sure you guys watched F2 races. It's similar. They'll do the same. The radio come on. And so when he won F2, it went down to the last race, and when he won, I think it was F2 or F3 championship, the girls. So we're watching from home, and he wins. No, it must have been F3, because it was when he and Logan Sargent.
Yeah, they had some battles, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but Logan, they went into that last race, I think, equal on points, but Logan was starting like 10 10 positions ahead of Oscar on the grid. So Logan just had to finish in front of Oscar to win the championship. And then, so we were all at home watching. I think we were in lockdown, and Logan got taken out the first lap. Like it was brutal. So then Oscar just had to finish the race. And it was, I think we'd all, without saying it, had assumed Logan was going to win, and well done, Oscar.
Right.
Second is really good. And then this just changed the whole race. And so when he won, the girls knew, they crossed to the driver, on the radio, and they do in F1 when they win a race. So the girls knew it was coming, and they're like, "Oh no, Oscar's! Oh no, what is he going to do? He's going to be so embarrassing." And I'm like, "He's not. He's going to be fine." And they're like, "Oh no," and so they crossed to him, and all you could hear was this squealing, like just squeal. And the girls are like, I'm like, that is not Oscar. It was Oscar's. That was Oscar's Italian engineer, who was literally squealing, and then eventually he composed himself and stopped, and there was dead silent. And then Oscar just said, he literally said something like, I think he swore, but he just went, "Holy fuck."
Yeah.
What a race. That was it. Like, just, that was when he won the world championship. I think he was probably in shock. And then his next line, which again is what I'm incredibly proud of. He just said, "Man, I feel so bad for Logan."
Oh,
that was his next line. So, he's a good kid.
After his first race win, he comes on the radio. He sounds like Lewis Hamilton, like thanking everybody. Another win. Thank everybody. Thanks so much. I'm like, where's your George Russell yabba dabba doo?
Yeah.
George Russell, when he had that win that they took away from him, in Spa, I believe it was. Was it? Yeah, it was Spa.
Yeah, it was just.
You thought he won the Super Bowl. You thought he was like.
Well, he has kind of, hasn't he? Like, it's equivalent. Like, yeah. Like, I think that's a normal reaction. I think Oscar's is totally not.
Yeah.
No, Oscar's singular in that way.
Do you feel like you have to take it on for him? Like, if he doesn't get angry, you have to get angry, or if he's not jumping up and down, you have to jump up. Like, you have to take it on for him.
I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm actually pretty reserved. Like, when it comes to winning and losing and bad stuff happening, I'm actually pretty reserved. I'm happy for him, but I'm pretty reserved like that.
Well, you're kind of Gen Z in that way, maybe, because that in your personal life you are reserved, but then online you're a savage.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Reminding Oscar that he doesn't know that you taught him everything he knows. He doesn't really know how to use a washing machine, and that, you got to keep him in check. Yeah.
So Hungary, you were totally chill, just a chill person.
Hungary, no. Hang on, no, because we kind of knew if he got ahead at the start, it's hard to overtake.
Right.
So he was, I don't know what he was P2, wasn't he? So when he got ahead, we were like, oh my goodness. So then it was like shivers, and then he was leading the race. So, and I know better than anyone that there's strategies, that there's pit stops. I know that it's not over until you cross the line better than anyone.
Yeah.
So I did kind of, but it was just really uncomfortable to watch.
Yeah.
And it was a bit, so when it happened, we were all in a bit of shock, like, okay, so he did win. Is he going to be happy about that? Is he, how's that going to be? And then I thought, no, stuff it. He's won. We should be happy.
Yeah, and I mean, it seems like he's always tempered, and has even when it's the win in the exact way that he wants to win. It's probably the high. It's not the crazy high ceiling. It's
no. You're never gonna. Yeah, I mean, people made comments about, the poor kid, he couldn't be excited because of the way it unfolded. But
Right.
he's never going to be yabba dabba doing and fist pumping and squealing. He's
Right.
not. You're not going to. I would be very surprised if you got that from him.
Yeah.
He might have been slightly more animated, but he's never going to be.
Right.
He's not going to be George or Daniel or he's just not. That's not him.
Vankas, this collaboration is brought to you by CBDMD. Listen, millions of people experience burnout daily, leading to stress, anxiety, and sleepless nights. CBDMD offers a diverse range of products specifically designed to support sleep, focus, and recovery, providing the perfect solution to combat daily stressors. With CBDMD, you can unwind, relax, and get a restful sleep you need. Crafted from USA-grown hemp and rigorously third-party tested for quality and safety, CBDMD delivers high-quality CBD and THC products that seamlessly fit into your daily routine. Whether you need to take the edge off a long week or enhance your overall well-being, CBDMD has the right solution for you. Visit cbdmd.com to explore their full range of products, expertly formulated to help you feel your best. And as always, you can use the promo code FRIDAY for 30% off, plus free shipping at cbdmd.com. Committed to transparency, CBDMD conducts rigorous third-party lab testing on all its products. Each product is accompanied by a certificate of analysis on their website that verifies its potency and ensures it's free from contaminants such as pesticides, heavy metals, and molds. This product is not for use or for sale to persons under the age of 21. This product should be used only as directed on the label. It should not be used if you are pregnant or nursing. Consult with a physician before use if you have serious medical condition or use prescription medications. Visit cbdmd.com to explore the extensive range of products and find the perfect solution for your needs. And don't forget to use the code FRIDAY at checkout for 30% off plus free shipping.
Yeah, so we have some photos of Oscar, because you're so good at taking a photo of Oscar and kind of like throwing a fun tweet underneath there. We're gonna show you some pictures of Oscar, and what would you tweet underneath?
This is putting me on the spot. Okay,
let's go. You're such a
and like maybe just an insight on what do you think he's thinking, what do you think's going through his mind? Maybe.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So I saw this without context.
Oh, you didn't
believe
you weren't
it.
watching when this happened.
No, I was not. So I saw it and just said to his sisters, "What the hell is he doing?" I couldn't. Like, that's not attractive, is it?
I think this is actually when the world first fell in love with him, because they just knew him
showed
as the guy.
some personality, right?
Yeah.
But I knew. When I saw, and I actually spoke to him soon after and said, "Oscar, what were you thinking?" And he goes, "Well, Mum, I knew that the cameras were on me." He goes, "I was going to lose no matter what happened, because if I laughed, I'm watching this guy smash, and we didn't know if he was going to be all right."
Right.
It's like, it was very awkward because he's like, "I know the camera's on me. I'm watching the screen with me on it."
Yeah.
He goes, "If I don't react, I look heartless, and if I laugh, I look heartless." So I was just trying to like, ooh, yeah. Which to be honest, I think he nailed it given the circumstances.
That's what we were all, everyone at home was going, ugh, and then he did it for us. So we all felt very connected to him in that moment.
Yeah,
Yes.
but often, this is what happens. I'll see the photos, it'll come up on my feed without any context and think, "Oh, good Lord, what is he doing?" Once it's explained, it usually makes sense, but that was quite shocking.
Yeah. So what would you have tweeted under this? You might have said like, choose a different face next time, or
I
something.
would just be like, I would just tweet something like, "No, don't." Just like, no, Oscar. Like, just
No.
Yeah, no, don't. Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Uh,
Or the other take on that would be something like, I would say something to like make it look like he was responding to my tweet.
We got this one.
Oh, yeah. Normally I can tell. So normally I wait. So if he's had a race and I can't, the way I work out whether he's happy with qualifying or a race is I watch the interview because I think I can pick up on his body language. So even if he's saying, yeah, it was a good race, I know whether he's ecstatic or whether he's...
Okay, for the listeners, he's grabbing his hat and he has what can only be described in Yiddish as a verbissener. It's a not very nice face.
A stank face.
He looks like he smelled a fart or something like that.
And and it's not his, and he's looking for who it was.
He's very confused. He's looking.
He knows. He's like, who the hell just
confused and angry. Yeah, that's what he's looking at. And yeah, so that one. I mean, again, you would be. I probably reference. Yeah, I don't know. Like I would be going.
Brian
Oscar,
might have nailed it, honestly.
I would probably say something like, Oscar, we've practiced our game face. Like, what are you doing? Just we've been through this because we haven't. But I would enough with the
That's
weird,
great.
with the weird.
I want to get his start. Brian, can you get his starting grid up?
Oh my God, where he does the Google eyes. Oh my Lord, the hair. What is he like? I don't know. I mean,
he's a good-looking kid. I'm just like, is this the best picture they had? I think that a lot.
It's just that it's very Elizabethan, isn't it? Like it's it's very like wax museum, because he's actually got in real life like some. Like
your little birthmarks.
Yeah, which I like. I think, and they've got rid of those. And then his hair, I don't know who did the. It's a bit. There's something about Mary, kind of. And and that's the shot, right? That they use all year.
Yes.
Right.
So
they do a lot of these guys pretty. They do a lot of the guys pretty dirty. With the,
it's like, how do you mess up Carlos Sainz? They find a way.
Yeah, like that one is probably the worst.
His video intro is pretty good though. That one isn't bad.
Yeah, it's better.
That specific picture is not the greatest.
Yeah. But that particular shot you just showed me in Australia, that's what they use to every time they promote F1 on KO or Fox Sports. They use that comes up over the screen, so it's everywhere all the time.
Right. Now, as the queen of Twitter, there was a pretty iconic tweet that Oscar had when the whole kind of situation was going on. Now, we don't need to know anything. You don't want any dirt, but as you know, you and Oscar are both kind of Twitter icons in that way, and so much so that we have one of our pieces of merch is Oscar's face with the iconic tweet,
which he loves, by the way.
Does he love that?
I loves it. Yeah, because I've got because you guys sent with my merch the print of that.
Yes.
In the frame. So I've got it, and then I showed it. I took a photo and sent it to him, and he's like, because I'm thinking, that's for me, and he's like, well, I want that.
We can make two. We can make two.
They sent it to me, and he's like, I feel like they would be cool to have at my place. So I'm like, all right, well, you can come home and get it.
That's right. So has he, or is he not?
No, because I haven't seen him yet. So I could take it. I'm going to Baku. I could take it there.
Well, we'll send another one.
Great, and then he can.
We'll send another one.
By the way, the guys, for those who are listening, who live under a hole in the wall, it is Oscar's tweets in like typewriter font, and it's makes up his face. You can like read you could see his face in the tweet.
It's really cool.
It's really cool.
And I've actually got it. It's in the entrance on the sideboard in the entrance. So people come in and just go, oh my God, that is so cool because they can, because they look at it and,
Right.
from a distance it's Oscar. It's just it looks
Right.
like just a really cool print of Oscar. But then you look closely and it's like, oh, that is really cool. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that tweet was, so that was big. So that was like a middle of the night. He gave me some warning. He gave me some warning about the Alpine tweet. And he just texted me and said, Mum, it was very late here. And he said, Mum, so this is going to happen. And you don't worry about it. Like it's all under control. It doesn't feel like it is.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, it's fine. And then it came out and so it was like, I don't know, 1 a.m. in Australia, but my phone just blew up and I just didn't answer anything. And then I could see on social media people just losing their minds.
Right.
And then about an hour later, he texted me again and said, so Mum, in half an hour, I'm going to release a statement.
Mm-hmm.
So it is me. It's under control. And I'm like, so Oscar, where are your managers? Like, where are Anne and Mark? Are they? Because I knew that they were in Australia. While this was all going. I'm like, are they awake? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. And he's like, so I'm like, okay. And I just had to trust that. I mean, they know what they're doing,
right.
and they did in the end. But it was an interesting. And then the next day, just out of coincidence, I was flying over there to be to spend the next 5 weeks with him. So I was there. Then when all hell broke loose, I was over there with him. Yeah, and he was pretty calm.
That was a narrative around him for a long time. Was like that tweet.
Yeah, and that was his. That was his introduction to F1. Like that's
right.
It was a wow. It was a big one.
But now no one ever thinks of. Now no one ever really thinks of it. Like now he's like famous for only
because he's
being
great.
A gangster. Yeah.
Well, he knew, and we knew. We knew, and he knew that you just had to trust that his personality would come through at some point. Because the way that he came across was not at all what he's like. So you just had to we just had to sit tight and go, people will work out who the real you is. We just continue to do what you do, and and that's exactly what happened.
Did he enjoy the movie Cars?
Oh my God.
Movie?
So he was obsessed. All the kids.
Yeah.
He watched it that many times that he could recite. I think I've got a home movie of him and his sister, like quoting the Luigi and the white wall tires. He could quote everything that they said. Obsessed with it.
Yeah, I know that we talked to Liam Lawson and he was like, that's my favorite movie ever. I think for a lot of those younger kids, it's like they're so obsessed with Cars. Okay, so we have some fan questions.
Okay.
Got some fan questions. We're going to hit you with some fan questions. This is from Carl Schwartzer. What's Oscar's favorite home-cooked meal?
It is like, if I'm going to be really honest, and I should be, it's nothing that I cook.
Okay. What do you order in?
No. He likes fettuccine carbonara. I'm not going to tell you that. But he loves fettuccine carbonara.
Okay.
That's probably his favorite. But he likes, I cook golden syrup dumplings, which is such a country thing. It's a dessert, but he does request that. Golden syrup dumplings.
Syrup dumplings.
Golden syrup dumplings.
Sound
and he
amazing.
loves They are amazing. They're like cake. It's like cake in a syrup.
I
I make that when he comes home. My mum makes, his absolute favorite thing is rum balls, which I don't like a truffle type.
Okay.
We call them
with a little bit of rum in the middle?
Well, they're not. My mum
Okay.
doesn't make them with rum because when they were little, but then otherwise they'd just be called grandma's balls, and that's not. That's not appropriate. You can't be saying do you want grandma's balls. So we just still call them rum balls, but there's no rum.
Okay.
Yeah. But they're made with rum. Yep.
Yeah, okay, gotcha. This is from Teague 12 Alt. Has Oscar finally learned how to properly do his laundry?
I have no idea. He certainly doesn't do it when he comes home. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would say maybe not, but he looks pretty schmick when he's in photos. So someone's doing it.
Someone's doing it. This is from Grace Robinson 6. What's your favorite F1 race on the calendar and why?
I would say Melbourne, of course.
Yeah,
right.
He gets to come home.
Yeah, he gets to come home. I've got plenty of friends at the track. It's very social. Yeah. It's a crazy week. It's the best week ever because I don't see him very much, but there's parties and there's glamour on the grid and it's so much fun. So Melbourne, definitely. Yeah. After that, I did go to Singapore. Oscar's sisters and I and his grandparents went to Singapore and that was amazing. I love the night race. Yeah. Singapore was so much fun.
And I feel like Singapore was, I feel like I heard some tea that Singapore was also big for one of your kids for another reason.
So yes, Hattie, who is Oscar's youngest sister, is mad into K-pop and she disappeared. So we're at the track and she's like, I'll see you later. She's disappeared for hours. There was a K-pop band playing. So she checked out, like as part of the Grand Prix, but it was miles away from where we were in the paddock. So she just checked out and for like hours just go to the K-pop concert. So never.
What's her favorite? What's her favorite? So she's more into K-pop than she is into her own brother racing. So what is her favorite K-pop band?
I have no idea.
What's
like
playing?
Five Boys.
That narrows it down. That narrows it down.
Yeah.
What's Oscar's taste in music?
Oh, his is like house.
Likes?
Like it's just like house. It's just the same beat. Like same thing. When we were driving to our holiday house a few years ago for 3 hours, and he was driving, so it was his music. I'm like, is this the same song? Because I couldn't tell the difference because it was just the same beat the whole time. It was
Jesus. So our fans know that you do Pilates. Does Oscar ever? This is from Tazy 101. Has Oscar ever done Pilates with you?
No, not with me. He did Pilates when he came home.
Okay,
and he was like, I think he has a new appreciation for my level of fitness. So no, we've never done it together, but he has done some Pilates and he said that's actually a lot harder than it looks.
This is from Weber Rachel. How long does it take for Oscar to respond to your texts?
Oh, well, anywhere from minimum, the quickest that he would respond would be 24 hours.
The quickest?
Sometimes he just doesn't. Yeah. He's busy. But he does himself in because I can track him, right? I know where he is. And so I'll.
Does he have locations turned on?
No.
It's called being a famous F1 driver.
Well, that too.
People are posting stuff and I'm like, what?
Right.
Yeah.
Because I did an interview. I did an interview the morning after he won, a few hours after he won. Yeah. And of course, the natural, like live on air, on TV.
Right.
Yeah. A local morning show. And they're like, so what did he say? You know, and I'm like, I haven't spoken to him yet. They're like, what? I go, no, I know he's still in Hungary and I know his plane's been delayed, but that's only because I saw that on your opposition's program half an hour ago, but I haven't spoken to him.
Right.
So he sometimes doesn't respond.
Yeah.
That's why I got to come on the podcast.
That's right.
That's right.
This is from Andre C137. Does Oscar have any pet peeves?
No, see, because he's so. No, I don't think so. Because he's so. Because he's so laid back. Okay. Nothing really riles him up.
He's a legend. Okay, this is from Squank.
Squank.
Would you do a hot lap on the track with Oscar driving?
Yes, I would.
Have you ever done that?
To do a hot? No. I would
Okay.
love to do a hot lap. I would
Yeah.
love to do that. I would love to drive that car. I think I could be quite good. I actually have a go-karting
Yeah.
trophy.
Is Oscar? This is from Ali Jones 11. Is Oscar a Vegemite or fairy bread kind of guy?
I would say both, but I would say if you put him out in front of him, he would go fairy bread every day of the week.
Okay.
Yeah,
Of course, fairy bread. We all
Definitely
love fairy
fairy
bread.
Yes, we all
do you guys know what fairy bread is?
No idea.
So, yeah, so it's an iconic thing in Australia.
Okay.
It's little sugar. It's like sprinkles. You know, like sprinkles you would sprinkle on ice cream, but it's
Yes.
little
Like
coloured
the dot
dots.
sprinkles.
Yeah,
Right.
dot sprinkles, and it's a party food. So it's not an everyday food. It's a party food, and it makes coloured bread, and it's very pretty.
I see.
And
So
Oscar
he's
would
got a bit of a
definitely go
sweet
for that.
tooth.
Definitely.
Okay. And then this is our last fan question from Blue Subi 2015. What's your best parenting advice?
See, do we want to go serious or do you want to go stupid? Because
Whichever way you want to take it.
well, my my best parenting advice, if I'm being honest and sincere and serious, is like I said earlier. I from a really young age, I taught my kids to be kind and you be decent, and life will be easier because people will give you opportunities. And then if you're not kind and you're not decent and not thoughtful, people won't want to help you.
So is that what I yell at my kids? I'm like, you be nice, you be freaking thoughtful if you want to make it to F1. You be nice.
Yeah,
Like that?
sure. Yeah, be nice.
Okay.
And yeah. And the other thing is that I think is good, is a really nice one, is humble in victory and dignified in defeat. I think that's a nice kind of one to, and I think you can see that in Oscar, humble in victory and gracious in defeat.
Yeah.
I feel
certainly. Those are all qualities that feel very present in him. So consider job well done.
And the other one would be ring your mother. Just ring your mother.
There we go.
Just ring
That's
your
right.
mother.
Just ring your mom.
Yeah, and we don't have this situation, Oscar.
Yeah.
Right. A couple last things before we let you go. How did you hear about us? How did you discover the red flags?
So in my effort to learn more about F1, I actually in podcasts, I was listening to true crime podcasts and they were messing with my head.
Yeah.
So I thought I've got to stop doing this. This is not healthy. And then I Google. I searched for Oscar's name in the podcast, and yours was one of the podcasts, and it was hilarious because Matt, you had Oscar was just on the scene then, and you were like, I reckon this is a big move. Big dick move by Oscar to go up against Lando. And I'd had that conversation with Oscar. I'm like, if you had to pick a teammate, who would you pick? And he's like, well, going up against Lando would be the best move, because not that Oscar had a choice. Like, it wasn't
Right.
Oscar's like, I'll go here, thanks. But we had this exact conversation. He said, if I go up against Lando, I don't even have to get close the first year because everyone knows how good Lando is.
Right.
And then, I'm listening to this podcast a few days, I don't know, a week later, and you were like, if Oscar's done this is like a big move. And I'm laughing to myself as I'm walking, thinking, oh, this guy knows.
Yes, I know.
Yeah. But I walk the dogs. So I walk the dogs a lot and I listen to podcasts. So, but when I listen to you guys, I look like I'm a psychopath because I'm laughing out loud and I just look like I'm crazy because I'm just walking the streets with the dogs, laughing to myself, and I look mental.
This is Brian's nightmare, by the way. Is that I opened a door and I might have just slammed it
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
No, because
Yeah.
when we started this podcast, I was just like, I want to say wild shit because Brian was more optimistic. Brian's like, we're gonna reach people. I was like, no one's ever gonna listen to this. I'm gonna say whatever the hell I want to say, and no one's ever gonna listen to it. And it's like, I never thought you were gonna listen to it like that. Like,
No, of course not. Who would?
So I was like, I just said whatever I wanted to say, and now
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Well, at the end of the day, the girls that get it, and the girls that don't. And at the end of the day, you get it. Nicole, we're so thrilled to have had you on.
Thank
this
you
was
so much.
such an honor. And you.
and for me too.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
No, fuck you. We're more honored. We're more honored.
We're
than
more.
you.
No, I'm more
we
honored.
don't take your honor. We're more honored.
Honor is rejected and sent back. You know?
That's right. You know how this goes. Will you honor
Yes.
us with a goodbye, Venkas?
Goodbye, Venkers.
Yes. Goodbye, Bankas. Woo.
Goodbye, Venkas.